Welcome to this second session. So yesterday what I have done as part of anthropology orientation, I started my yesterday's session by talking to you guys on how to choose an optional subject. Later, I also have tried to clear some of the myths related to anthropology optional subject. I also have very briefly introduced to you guys about so-called anthropology as a subject. Today, our domain, or today what we would be doing as part of today's session is, I will go specifically to the chapters. I'll go specifically to the syllabus of the anthropology and will try to orient you, or will try to create some awareness on anthropology, right? So let me share the screen for you. So that you guys would get. And I have taken syllabus of UPSC. This is how UPSC has given in its syllabus. And UPSC says, please observe very carefully what UPSC has included as part of the syllabus. 1.1, UPSC has mentioned it as meaning, scope, and development of anthropology. Very simple, right? Let's say there is a discipline called as anthropology. So before you guys go to further understand the subject with analytical depth, so UPSC is expecting us to know what exactly is the meaning of anthropology, and not just meaning of anthropology. UPSC also is expecting us to know the scope of anthropology, meaning of anthropology, scope of anthropology. Some of you may be thinking, what exactly UPSC meant by using the word called as scope. Let's say in simple and common man's language, if you want to understand, you have a telescope. What does a telescope do? It will try to see something, right? Or a telescope has a field and it can see everything in that field. So just like that, UPSC is expecting us to know what is the scope of anthropology. Means what all components are embedded in anthropology, which is nothing but through this chapter UPSC is indirectly introducing us to syllabus of anthropology. Scope of anthropology is largely included in our syllabus. So as simple as that, scope of anthropology in a way is effectively understanding the syllabus of anthropology, and in a more technical way saying it as various components of this discipline called as anthropology. As simple as that. Then again, in this chapter 1.1, along with meaning and scope, UPSC also has included another component called as development of anthropology. You may be thinking, what is this development? It might seem a little simple for you, but be a little patient because it's the very first chapter, and chapter 1.1. I do not want to hurry up things. Development of anthropology, for that matter, any academic discipline for that matter. It could be anthropology, it could be sociology, it could be medical science, or it could be dental science, or it could be electrical engineering, or it could be mechanical engineering. Every subject, let's say in the present form, the subject has reached this phase. In its beginning days, it might have started simple. It might have started with few concepts. It might have started with few areas or few ideas, isn't it? Let's say if you ask a student from electronics and communication, to start with, electronics and communications would have started as a very simple subject. Now electronics and communications has advanced so much that, you ask any electronics and communications students, he'll tell that, sir, now we have internet of things as part of our syllabus. In the early days, people used to just study about 2G communication, 3G communication. Now we are also studying about 5G, 6G communication. You ask a computer science student, he will say, sir, previously we used to just study simply about Moore's law. Now, as part of the syllabus, they are also contemplating introducing advanced concepts like quantum computing. Likewise, what I am trying to say is, every discipline, when it has started, it would have started simple. And in the course, it would have evolved, or it would have developed into its present form. So anthropology, when it has started, does not have so many components within it, but gradually anthropology as a subject evolved over time, and anthropology has come to its present form. That is what UPSC is trying to expect, or UPSC is expecting you guys to learn in the very first chapter, chapter 1.1. Meaning of anthropology, scope of anthropology. Meaning of anthropology. Scope of anthropology is nothing but the entire syllabus or the components of anthropology. Then, development of this discipline called as anthropology. Development of this discipline called as anthropology. It's that simple, and it is one of the easiest chapter. And I just want to give this assurance to you, because this is just an orientation session. I am not discussing with images and all. Usually our classroom discussion PDFs, let's say for the same chapter called as chapter 1.1, we will be discussing with so many images, so many written components, and so many illustrations. So this is how our regular classes would be. So I just want to assure you that don't think that I'll be just passively writing things on the board. Definitely that is not the way the classes would be dealt. The regular classes PDFs would be full of diagrams, illustrations, and the entire syllabus would be discussed in the same way. Anyways, let us get back again to understanding the demand of the syllabus, and that is what this orientation sessions are meant for. Now, let's go to chapter 1.2. I am sure most of you would have easily understood this. Now we will go to chapter 1.2 and try to understand the mandate of chapter 1.2. Chapter 1.2 says relationship of anthropology with other disciplines. Relationship of anthropology with other disciplines. Other disciplines, what they meant, let's say there is this subject called as anthropology, isn't it? But anthropology also is getting inspired from other discipline, and anthropology is taking concepts from other discipline. At the same time, anthropology also is contributing its concepts to other discipline. What other discipline? It could be sociology, it could be anything, it could be medical sciences, it could be life sciences. I know this topic is little bit dry and seemingly boring, but yes, but when you actually get into the real discussion, it gets really interesting. For instance, let me illustrate the same through a simple example. And before I illustrate this with a simple example, once again, let me quickly tell you what is the mandate of the present topic. Understanding the relationship of anthropology is one of a discipline, right, which you guys have chosen to do it as your optional subject. Just like that, there are many other fields like sociology, medical sciences, life sciences, like earth sciences. Earth sciences means geography, geology. So how anthropology got inspired from these disciplines, and how anthropology in turn has inspired other disciplines. Means, did anthropology take anything from these disciplines, and did anthropology give back anything to these disciplines? That is what we will try to study as part of this particular chapter 1.2. So this is one very simple topic, easy to understand topic. We will not go into so much analytical depth in this because the mandate is very simple. It's just understanding the relationship of anthropology with other disciplines. I'll just give one simple and beautiful example. There is one subject, or there is one component called as medical anthropology. Observe carefully. And medical anthropology, though it is not in our syllabus, but just to make you guys understand how anthropology is related to other disciplines, I am giving you this example. Medical anthropology actually is a combination of anthropology and medical science. I'll give you one simple example to understand how both subjects have interacted with each other and helped humans in enhancing their understanding of things and events. Interestingly, there is a particular tribe. Right now I am not naming the tribe because some of you may or may not be aware of the names of the tribe. And this particular tribe in Chhattisgarh, do you know there is a disease condition called as filariasis. And to be more precise, it causes another symptomatic condition called as elephantiasis. Some of you would have seen it. Some people would have a very big and swollen leg which resembles an elephant. That we call it as elephantiasis. In the regular sessions, I'll show you that image of elephantiasis. You will understand it very easily. And in one particular place, there is lot of incidents or many cases of elephantiasis, and doctors are not sure why there are so many cases of elephantiasis. Doctor thought we are giving treatment and we are trying to take measures to prevent the spread of the disease, but still there is high incidence of elephantiasis. What could be the reason? Doctors could not figure out. Though doctors are putting all the efforts to bring down the disease and health professionals are trying to put all the efforts to bring down the disease, nothing else is working. You know what? Surprisingly, anthropological studies have revealed something very, very interesting. You know what? People in that particular tribe, they don't consider this so-called disease of elephantiasis as a disease at all. Think very carefully what I am trying to say. Though they get elephantiasis, they think that elephantiasis is not a disease. They think that elephantiasis or this disease is a blessing of God. They think that my legs are swollen because it is a blessing of God, so I am lucky to get my legs swollen. So what people just think, If people believe that this elephantiasis is not even a disease, and because I have a blessing of God, God gave me this swollen leg. If that is my attitude, irrespective of what doctors do, would I even consider going to a doctor? I would not even consider going to a doctor because I don't even consider it as a disease. I think it is a blessing. I may be facing some issues with it, but still I'll not take it seriously because I am blessed by God to get this particular swollen limb. Look how surprising it is, and that is where then medical scientists or doctors have understood that we should not just go by our medical knowledge. We should try to understand what is people's understanding of disease. We should try to understand what is people's understanding of disease. Doctors may be thinking something as disease because they read a lot, but people also should think that it is a disease. To make it more easy for you, you talk to your grandparents' generation. Most of the time they don't even go to doctors. They get cough, they get cold, they get fever, they just ignore. They don't take it very seriously. Now that we guys have access to a lot of doctors and a lot of hospitals around us, for every small thing we are running to doctors, isn't it? In their generation, their attitude is like, okay, I might have eaten more, so my body might have become hotter, so I have got this disease. So this is their conception, or this is their understanding of disease. Doctors usually are not interested, or doctors usually don't take into consideration people's understanding of disease. Doctors are just about treating a disease. So this is where anthropologists pitch in, because anthropologists know the culture, and in this culture of this particular tribe, they believe that elephantiasis is not a disease, elephantiasis is a blessing of God. And this is where convergence of anthropological knowledge with knowledge of medical sciences can help us in better solving the problems of the people, in this case health problems of the people. Look how beautifully two disciplines, one medical sciences and other anthropology, both of them have come together, and both of them have addressed the major issue of a health problem among people, isn't it? So can you guys quickly confirm if you have understood this, what I have just mentioned with you? Yes, please. Did you understand what I have Yes. So this is how anthropology is related to other disciplines. This is how anthropology is related to other disciplines. So let me give another simple illustration. The previous illustration I have given to convince you the importance of this topic, called as understanding the relationship between the two disciplines, medical science and anthropology. We have another interesting case study. Let us see. In this case, I'll try to convince you that anthropology also has contributed a lot to psychology, and psychology also has, both the subjects have contributed to each other. Both the subjects have contributed to each other. Let me explain to you guys with a beautiful case study. There is a tribe by named Samoa. There is a tribe by named Samoa, and the Samoa tribe, it's in the Pacific Ocean, islands, island of a Pacific Ocean, and there is a very popular anthropologist by name Margaret Mead. She's a women anthropologist, Margaret Mead. She's very popular and she's known to be very daring, and she has traveled all the way to a remote island in the Pacific Ocean by named Samoa. And you know what? What has come out of her research, or what has come out of her field work? Field means she has gone to field and tried to study that particular tribe called as Samoa. And you know what? In her field work or in her field study, she understood that adolescence, I'm sure most of you would be aware of this term called as adolescence. Adolescence means this is an age group between children and adults. We can call it in a simple way teenagers, adolescents. And you know what she has mentioned? Adolescents of Samoa, adolescents of Samoan Islands, adolescents of Samoan Islands, adolescents of Samoan Islands, adolescents of Samoan Islands are more happier than adolescents of Samoan Islands are more happier than adolescents of America. Means teenagers of America. Teenagers of America. She was surprised because America is a very prosperous society. American society does not have any dearth of wealth, right? It's a wealthy nation. People there have access to good food, good clothing, and good everything they want. They have education, they have health, they have good food, they have everything they want. It is one of the richest country in the world, right? Then how come teenagers of Samoan are much more happier than teenagers of America? She could not understand why this is. Later, after her detailed fieldwork, she has mentioned that teenagers of Samoa enjoy much more freedom when compared to teenagers of Samoan Island. The tribes enjoy much more freedom than teenagers of America. The freedom also include sexual freedom. The freedom also include the sexual freedom. Means the teenagers are allowed to explore. The teenagers are allowed to explore their sexuality. They are allowed to experiment, and they are not judged. They are not judged. They are allowed to experiment. They are allowed to explore their sexuality. So, and not just freedom in sexuality, but in other aspects also, they enjoy more freedom when compared to teenagers of America. So it happened and it came out that these teenagers are much more happier than the American teenagers. And this she tried to prove by using some psychology tools. By using some psychology related subject, she tried to prove these points. Look how beautifully psychological studies she tried to conduct. Psychological studies means sitting with the teenagers, asking them just like a psychologist asks questions. She has tried to understand the mind of the individual teenagers. Based on that, she combined anthropological field work with tools of psychology and has come up with this kind of observations. Look again here beautifully. Two disciplines, psychology and anthropology, have come together and has helped humanity in coming up with some startling revelations or some significant observations, significant observations. So this is how you can understand how anthropology is related to other disciplines, isn't it? In the present times, just now I have mentioned about this medical anthropology, right? So just like that, there is another simple branch called as ethnomedicine, isn't it? Ethnomedicine means now in the present times, our interest or our liking towards native medicine has increased. Now people are going back to the roots, right? People are using Ayurveda much more than what they used to be using a decade or two ago. People now are using less allopathy, and or at least some section of people, they are preferring to go for Ayurveda, Unani, yoga, Siddha, homeopathy. Again, there is this resurgence or this revival of people's interest, especially in other in the native traditions, in the native way of healing a disease, in the native way of curing a disease, isn't it? So like this particular chapter, relationship of anthropology with other disciplines like social sciences, behavioral sciences means psychology is a good example of a behavioral science. Life sciences means zoology, botany. Then medical sciences, I have already illustrated with example, medical science and anthropology correlation. Earth sciences and humanities. There is a subtle difference between social sciences and humanities that we will be discussing in regular sessions. And this is how we try to understand this particular chapter, relationship with other discipline. In regular session, we will be discussing this with a lot of slides and a lot of images and a lot of frameworks to make it much more interesting for you. This will take me to the next topic or the next chapter, 1.3 chapter. I hope you guys are taking down some notes than passively listening to the lecture. Please ensure that you also take down some notes. So at least at the end of the session, there should be some takeaway, right? There should be some takeaway at the end of the session. So please do ensure that you keep scribbling some notes. How to take notes, all these kind of things will be addressed in regular sessions. But for time being, just spend time on scribbling some notes. Look at this. 1.3 main branches of anthropology, their scope and relevance. Main branches of anthropology. What is it? What did they say in the syllabus? Main branches of anthropology. Main branches of anthropology. Main branches of anthropology. So what did they mention as the main branches? Main branches of anthropology. Main branches of anthropology means, let's say if anthropology is a tree, it also has some branches, isn't it? Just like your computer science will have some branches, medical science will have some branches, isn't it? All of them will have their own branches, right? Just like that, anthropology also has some. There are many branches, but 4 branches are considered as the major branches. In which, what 4 branches they have given? Observe the syllabus sheet carefully. They have given it as socio-cultural anthropology. They have given it as archaeological anthropology. They have given it as physical anthropology. And they also have given it as linguistic anthropology. These sessions are very, very important. Now, please don't take them lightly, because this is like you are understanding the purpose of each topic and why each topic is given in the syllabus, isn't it? So that way, according to me, orientation sessions are very, very important, and students should not take orientation sessions lightly. So 4 branches of anthropology. And what else they said? They also said scope relevance. Scope, relevance. Just like in the first slide I said scope of anthropology, now they want us to go little more deeper and understand the scope of each branch again. Not just broadly the scope of anthropology. They want us to go in depth and go little more detail and understand the scope of each branch. Scope of socio-cultural, scope of linguistic, scope of physical anthropology, scope of archaeological anthropology. They want to go and they're expecting us to study it in a little more depth and detailed way. And they have included another term called as relevance. Relevance, nothing anthropology. Relevance is just an English word. And I'm sure most of you would be aware of this term called as relevance. Relevance. Relevance means how it helps. How it helps. How it helps. Helps whom? How it helps humans. How it helps is nothing but how it helps humans. What? This linguistic anthropology, this socio-cultural anthropology, this physical anthropology, this archaeological anthropology, how it helps humans, what relevance this has for humanity. Why are we even studying these branches? Why are we even studying these branches? So UPSC is expecting us to know this. UPSC is expecting us to know this. Yes, physical anthropology and biological anthropology is one and the same, Manisha. Physical anthropology and biological anthropology is essentially the same. There is not much difference, at least for our exam purpose. Going a little further, I'll just give one simple example, and essentially, you know what it is doing? UPSC is asking us to read the whole syllabus. If you see, chapter 1.4, chapter 1.5, chapter 1.6, chapter 1.7, these are all physical anthropology, one of the important branch of anthropology. Chapter 1.8 is archaeological anthropology, which you will understand when I start discussing about chapter 1.8. I know archaeology also might be an unfamiliar term to some of you. Chapter 2.1 to chapter 6, and of course chapter 6, it is nothing but socio-cultural anthropology. And chapter 7 is nothing but linguistic anthropology. So UPSC has done nothing in chapter 1.3. It is asking us, or it is expecting you guys to know about the syllabus in little more depth and detail before you actually go into the original chapters like chapter 1.4. So by this time you guys would have got a clarity that chapter 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, we are not actually getting into the real anthropology. It is just like an introduction scene to a movie. Just it is preparing you to actual anthropology, which originally starts from chapter 1.4. So chapter 1.1, chapter 1.2, chapter 1.3 creates the tone for our future classes like anthropology, right? So that is about this chapter. I know some of you might be interested to know a little more about relevance. Sir is saying relevance or how it is helpful to humans. You may have that little bit of doubt. I'll just tell one simple example and I'll try to conclude today's session, because I do not want to start evolutionary anthropology in today's session itself, because it's a separate branch. Means chapter 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, I want to deal it as a single entity, which I'll be doing in tomorrow's session. Now, what I am talking, or what I am going to talk now is just I am picking only one, linguistic anthropology, and I am talking about relevance of linguistic anthropology. Just to remind you guys again, what is relevance? Relevance means how linguistic anthropology is helpful. How linguistic anthropology is helpful to humans. I'll tell you. I'll give you a very good example. Listen carefully. There are many tribes. Most of you are from Telugu state, some of you must be from other parts of the country. In each of your state, there must be some tribal groups. Let's say in our Telugu states, we have Chenchus, we have Gonds, Chenchus, Gonds, Yanadis, Bagatas, all these are the tribal people. Listen very carefully. Some of the tribal people have their own language, their own distinctive language. But what is happening to their language? Their language is getting lost because of the cultural exposure to the modernity. Because they are getting exposed to the modern society, their language is getting lost. Right? I'll convince the importance of language with more depth and detail in the linguistic anthropology chapter, but now I want to just talk about the relevance. Relevance of linguistic anthropology is helping us in reviving those dying languages. See, language is very dear to our heart. Let's say you are a Telugu guy, or you are a Malayalam guy, or you are a Tamil guy. Will you accept if somebody say that from tomorrow you should not speak Telugu, from tomorrow you should speak only English, or from tomorrow you should speak only Tamil, or from tomorrow you should speak only Hindi? Nobody would tolerate, right? Language is a very emotional thing, but because of our carelessness, because of our hurry to impose modernity on the heads of these people and on these tribal people, they are losing their language, and that is where linguistic anthropology will pitch in, and linguistic anthropology will help in revival of those dying languages. Okay, so this is how the anthropology discipline is. It's a very interesting subject. If some of you are still undecided about whether you have to go with anthropology or not, let me tell you, trust me, things will get 20 times more interesting as you go further deeper into this particular subject called as anthropology, right? So let me stop today's session, and I want you guys to come fully prepared for tomorrow's session. I'll try to share this syllabus PDF with you, so quickly go through the syllabus PDF once, or you can just Google in internet anthropology UPSC syllabus. You will get many PDFs, and yes, all the best. Thank you.